Well, good morning. It's 8:12 and 40 degrees in downtown Galesburg. Galesburg's Morning News. Tyler Gumm, Jay Redfern, Cameron Line. Today, we're joined in studio by Galesburg District 205 Superintendent of Schools, John Asplund, for a conversation looking back at a busy 2025 for the district and ahead to priorities in 2026. So, from major facility upgrades to extracurricular advancements and staffing successes, there's a lot to cover. So, of course, Dr. Asplund, thanks for being with us this morning. How's it going?
It's going really well. Thanks for having me.
Pretty good holiday?
Yeah, it was good. It was quiet around the office. Got a lot done. So yeah, it was good. It was a good break. I hope for everybody.
Well, where should we start, Jay?
Well,
looking back?
except the good break that was ended unfortunately. Let's take a look. Not before we take the look back. Talk about the incident for today. You have some police presence, and you talked to us last night.
So we were made aware of a social media, and I don't want to say threat because it really wasn't a threat. Some very, I guess, odd statements that were made from a particular TikTok page, and in looking the video, there were a number of other posts on there too, but all just very strange, and we didn't like what the message said. It didn't say anything about anybody or what was going to happen. It just made some reference to something will happen when school starts back up. Well, that could be good, that could be bad, but it had floated around enough that people were sending it to me because they were concerned. So we felt like, well, we better, look into it because we don't want people feeling like they're not safe when they come to school because we, obviously that's the most important thing. So we reached out to GPD and just said, hey, is there anything we can do to find this, who this is? And without getting into too many particulars, there are ways. And so we're going for all of them. And I have a very strong feeling that this is a student who thought they were playing a joke and now realizes that some very bad things might happen to you because that this is some very severe consequences because I don't think that they thought what they were doing was going to cause that much upset. That's my opinion. Now I don't have anything to base that
And obviously
on.
it didn't rise to canceling school. I know a lot of people are saying, without knowing what happened, why didn't you just go ahead and cancel school?
Right. Well, if we canceled school, we would have basically that would be us saying, yeah, we think something really bad's going to happen.
Yeah.
We don't think anything really bad's going to happen. And let's just think about this in broader terms. If every time somebody puts something up on the internet, we cancel school, we're not having school anymore.
Yeah.
So, we can't do that. So we have to evaluate every situation on its merits, and we did, and we continue. And GPD has been fantastic and has always been very supportive of the school and been very helpful. And so I've been in very constant contact with Chief Legate over the last day going through this, and I'm sure he probably regrets giving me his cell number because I've been calling him at all hours. But I feel very confident that everything is very safe and secure at the 712 facility. And as I said, I don't believe there was ever really going to be anything that happened, but you just don't want to assume that and do nothing. So we put an enhanced police presence out there just in case either the poster or somebody who saw the post thought, oh, this is my chance to do something silly, whatever. We just felt like we err on the side of caution. So that's what we're doing. And, we'll reevaluate, ongoing after this. If we apprehend the person and start to bring this thing to a close, then, we'll change direction. But for now, this is the course we're taking.
Okay. Well, now we'll talk about the good stuff, the real job that you have.
Sure.
How about reflecting a little bit on the district's strategic plan and improvements in 2025 and how the Portrait of a Graduate initiative has evolved?
Well, so the strategic plan came together over the last, we got the plan put together, finalized a couple of years ago. And so we're in the basically right in the middle of that plan, or still in the first half of it, but moving into the middle of that 5-year plan. And I'm going to be giving a presentation at the board meeting on Monday night about how that has progressed and how, what has changed in the school district as a result of that strategic plan, from all the input we got from community, students, staff, and board, and ways that the school has improved. And one of the ways that we like to focus on, and I bring it with me because I want to make sure I don't miss any points, is the portrait of the Galesburg High School graduate. We're really focusing on 3 broad areas. So when we do this, we're trying to look thematically because every child's going to have a little bit different path through the high school because, if you're interested in engineering, you're going one way. If you're interested in military, you're going another way. And so we're looking at very broad areas, but we want our students to be well-rounded. So we've provided a renewed focus on writing and trying to communicate, because we felt like that's something that kind of gotten pushed to the wayside. So reading, writing, and problem solving, but also hands-on skills like cooking and financial literacy and things like that. Citizenship, how do we make sure that our students are understanding what their role is in society? Because, we've seen a lot of good and bad changes in our society over the last 20, 30 years. And we feel like a more engaged populace is better for everybody. And so trying to get our students to engage in that and be ethical and sympathetic and empathetic. And then a sense of self. We want something that we want our graduates to have a connection to the school, and we want our students to have a connection to the school. And so providing ways that everybody that attends Galesburg High School can feel connected to it through clubs, teams, different social groups, different opportunities. And so we've been very intentional about how to try to make sure we cover the broad spectrum of needs and wants of our student population. And as I said, Monday night I'll give a brief presentation on how some of those things have really shown examples, and there'll be little videos that I'll be showing, so that kind of brings it down to the student level of how things have changed.
Is this the first strategic plan you've done in a while?
It's the first one here, since I've been here. However, when 2017, when I came, we didn't call it a strategic plan, but we went out into the community and asked people what they wanted, and as as the result of that, basically that message was we need new buildings. And so that's what we spent the first 7 years of my time here doing, and so that was really the result of that. Once we got kind of to the end of the academic buildings, not including the most recent building changes, but the academic buildings, once we'd kind of finished those projects, we were like, okay, we're kind of done with that. Let's go back out to the community and see what is it you want now, because you asked us before to fix the buildings. We showed you, we listened, we did it. So now what do you want now? And so this is the next iteration of that process, but this is the first academically focused strategic plan now.
Okay, we'll talk about more of those building projects in a minute, but you mentioned a period of continuity in curricular efforts, and can you talk about some of the key achievements maybe that stand out, like the PK4 Bridges math program?
Yeah, so the math program has evolved, and there have been lots of different state standards that have come out in my career, and there have been different focus from the state of Illinois over my 35 years here of doing this. But the last 5 or 6 years, we've really taken a step back and looked at, we've gotten way too focused on technology, way too focused on really what the end result of that technological dependence is more of an abstract approach to math, and we felt like our students needed a more concrete approach to math, especially at the early ages. If you don't understand what 2 plus 2 is, like actually 2 plus 2, I mean, we all know 2 plus 2 is 4, but if a kid doesn't know that this and this equals 2, and you aren't holding two things, it doesn't make it as real. And so moving math from the abstract to the concrete at the early grades has shown to be really successful. And this Bridges program is very, very impactful for our kids in that it gives them a concrete understanding of what math does for you on a daily basis. And Tyler, your kids have been in the Bridges math program because they go to King. They've been, your son's been in it the longest.
Yeah.
And what are your impressions of it?
He's better than I am.
Yeah, I mean,
he loves math.
Yeah.
So he's definitely his mother's son. But
it does promote a much more of an enthusiasm for math in our kids at the grade school level, and I'm glad to hear that, because there are components to that program that build that enthusiasm, and it also ties in the application and the vocabulary of math, so that the kids learn through some games and through some cooperative ventures to how to learn the difference between a pentagon and a polyhedron, or any like things like there's just, as you move through it gets more complex, but it really gets it down to the basic hands-on functions of math for early kids, and it builds that enthusiasm and that concrete knowledge. And we've seen our own internal math data has really, really improved in the last 2-3 years because of that.
Talking to District 205 Superintendent John Asplund. So you mentioned facilities a little bit. We'll turn to that. Under your leadership, 205 is basically transformed every building in the district, major projects. What was your vision? I know you did a study, but what was your vision coming in as far as like maybe transforming the district?
Well, that's a wonderful question, and I'm gonna answer it honestly. I didn't have one when I came here. That was not really on the list of things I thought I was going to do. Did I know that District 205 needed to address facilities? Absolutely. I mean, that was pretty clear. But after we met with the community and really started talking to them about what it is that they felt we needed, it got to more of a fairness issue. Like, well, if you lived in certain parts of town, you had a really great building all the way through. Well, let's face it, nobody had a great experience at the high school if you were on the second floor ever, because it was not in good shape.
Yeah.
But there were buildings that were air conditioned, there were buildings that were not. There were buildings that were renovated and buildings that were not. And it was really more of a fairness issue from that lens. And so the board and I really went to task on what the community was telling us about. Well, why does kids in this part of town get a better experience than these kids? And so we had to figure out ways to, if we're starting from a place of fairness, how do we get every kid to have a great building? Some certain sacrifices had to be made because we only had so much money. And so that's where the really unpleasant closures of buildings came into place. But to start my career here, or my tenure here, no, that was not there. But, after my first year, after we'd kind of gone through all of that data and looked at all the input and saw how much money we had available, the vision coalesced around the fact that we were going to have to rearrange our attendance boundaries. We were going to have to make some sacrifices with some buildings. And then, the one thing that I could say I had a direct impact on over all of the others was the 712 facility concept. And that was out of necessity. I'll just be honest with you. Now, I love parts of it academically. It's really helped our AP classes, and I can explain that. But we only had so much money. And as I looked at that high school and I said, geez Louise, it used to have 2,400 kids in it. Now we got 1,200 kids in it. There's all this space that's already there. Like we could fit all the junior and senior high kids in there with a little bit of an addition, and we could afford all these other things that we needed to do. We knew it wasn't going to be popular, but that was the only way to unlock the funds to get, all the other buildings to where they needed to be. So that's the one place I guess I would say I contributed directly. But it's had a really direct benefit because our 7th graders and our 8th graders are right there at the high school. The students that are more advanced have been able to get into high school courses sooner. And so we've seen an increase in our advanced placement and dual credit courses down the line because those kids have started their high school academic career in 7th and 8th grade, and now they're getting to junior and senior year, and they'll be able to advance their academics into college level classes much sooner. So that's been a huge success.
I'm sure a lot of school districts around the state are envious of what you have here. Do you have like superintendents or other schools saying, "How did you do this?"
Oh yeah. We've hosted a lot of different schools, school districts, and they have come in and said, how did you do it? Well, and basically what I tell them is, well, you have to assess how much money you have, what the tax rate tolerance is, and then how much is your community willing to sacrifice certain populations for others? Because if you value neighborhood schools, and we do, but if you value neighborhood schools, you couldn't do what we did. Like you couldn't, because we didn't have the money. And there's a lot of really great things about neighborhood schools, but we couldn't have everything. So we decided, as much as we love that concept, we're going to have to go away from it to be able to get to this. And so, yes, we've had a lot of different school districts, buildings, boards, principals, superintendents through our facilities. And yeah, we're really proud of the end result of the work for sure. And as we have said to Brian Archibald, our architect from Leggett, we've said to him many times, like, we're sure we're going to look back on this 15 years from now. What did we do? Like, that was crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
That's what I was wondering. I mean, you're feeling good about it now. What's the feeling going to be 10 years from now? How do you think we'll reflect on this 10 years from now?
I hope positively. I mean, I think that it's been a journey for sure. And we're very gratified that we've been able to do what the community asked us to do. And we know that there have been some sacrifices because of that. There are longer bus rides for some kids, and the lack of that neighborhood school that's right next to your house for a lot of people. We know, and that's not an insignificant sacrifice. But I think on the whole, the feedback since we've moved to this now for a number of years has been very positive, and we've seen it's given us the ability to do other things because we've become more efficient. And so our our district finances are in much better position. So we've been able to do some things to try to attract teachers and do some incentive pay for other employment groups. And so it's really unlocked some other areas of our financial quiver that we could, take out and really utilize to try to enhance the lives of our employees and our students.
I think we'll have you back after the break if you have a few minutes. But I just wanted to kind of wrap up here on those going over and, what are people saying about them?
Yeah, they're going really well. We're not 100% done. We're still in that punch list item list, and that's basically little nitty gritty things that are left over. If you go by the high school, junior, senior high school right now, you'll still see some storage containers out there and some dumpsters because they're not quite done. But we've been using it for a month and a half. And the weight room's amazing. The wrestling room's amazing. The new turf room is amazing. I'm like, it's amazing. It's absolutely incredible. And probably the biggest pleasing comments I've gotten are from people that have gone to activities over there and they can use the restroom.
Yeah.
Because now there's enough for everybody. So it's really been great. And our warehouse, that thing's amazing. And we were able to successfully go through the bid process, and hopefully Monday night the board will be approving a bid for us to sell the old warehouse to some local businesses, and that seems to be a win for everybody, and it's all kind of wrapping up to be really a great experience for everybody.
And also part of that project was the turf for the baseball and softball facilities.
Yeah, so come out next spring and see the softball and baseball fields. Those are amazing, and I've said on here before, but I'll say it again for people that might not have been listening the first time. The reason we needed to go to turf really was, and I was the opponent to it, okay? So I was. But underneath the baseball diamond runs a river, okay? So underground, there's a lot of natural springs here in Galesburg, and there's a reason that part of town was the last developed because there's lots of water that runs underneath there. And so that running river had degraded the soil underneath there to the point where we had these huge holes. And by the time we were going to have to rip up all the soil and redo all the substructure and everything, the cost of turf was so small that we were like, well, that would be a bad decision not to do it at this point. So I'm very pleased that it worked out the way it did. And I'm very pleased that our kids have a top quality place to practice and play, and it's safer. And so that's going to be really gratifying to see them out there this spring. And, I just can't wait to see a night game because the lights are already amazing. So, it's just going to be a great experience for everybody.
One more thing on facilities. There was talk last year about possibly new restrooms, concessions, bleachers. Where does that project stand?
Thanks for asking. At Monday's board meeting, we're going to ask the Board of Education to approve the specifications to go out to bid for those items. So new bleachers at the baseball diamond, new concessions and bathrooms, and some fencing out there, as well as some work on the old concession stand, which is now like a junior high football locker room, and a small project at Silas Willard as well, which is safety related on the second floor. But that project is going out to bid hopefully next Tuesday morning.
Okay. And then when would you see the construction on that?
Well, assuming everything goes well, we would ask bids to be back in so that we could ask for board approval at the February board meeting to start work on those projects more or less June 1st.
Okay. After the school year season.